Hello and welcome to the Empathy Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be doing things a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing with you a nice little interview that I had on my Instagram, and I really think that it's going to bring some value to you guys. I had my incredible friend on, Mike Parsons. Be sure to follow him on Instagram. Be sure to follow my Instagram. I'll leave the links down below, but please enjoy this one because Mike has some great questions and I get a chance to share my story, and I haven't shared my story here for a little while, so I hope you guys enjoy.
Back on the old live internet. Living. If you have followed my stories today, then you know that I'm bringing on a good buddy, Kevin, here, who has quite a fascinating story about his transformation and journey with food, but also has educated himself with food and has taken the time, as many of us vegans face a lot of what we're doing. He actually took the time to educate himself and to get some accreditation to some of the things that he is a believer in. Hello.
Hello, how are you? Great to be here.
I'm fantastic, man. How you doing?
Doing great as well.
Awesome. You look chipper.
Yeah, thank you.
As usual.
As usual, yeah.
I don't think I ever see you not.
Yeah, when life is the way it is and you make the decisions and you have control over your mind, you could choose these thoughts.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think I ever see you not smiling unless it's something like really, about like animal activism that's like really not something to smile about. Otherwise, you're smiling like all the time. I love it, man. Your energy is so clean and so good.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I was just saying in the intro there, you not only are an old school vegan, and as most of us face challenges and questions and everything else, you, as I mentioned in my stories, had some what we will call spinal autoimmune symptoms. But not only did you, take that into control and figure out how to, get on the right path to let your body reset itself, but you actually went and got an education so that you could get some accreditation behind fielding the questions, queries, and comments that we forever get as vegans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's an impressive thing. So you are, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misquote, but you're certified in nutrition, are you not?
Yeah, it's actually a vegan nutritionist. So it was specifically designed to teach nutrition from a vegan standpoint, because most nutrition courses, classes, training, a lot of it was like a lot of animal products, and I was like, that's not food, that's violence, so that doesn't make sense to me. But also I had a lot of questions. People were like, oh, vegans can't do that, oh, you're gonna not be healthy, and I was like, I'm gonna figure this out and make sure that I know exactly what I'm talking about, and so that I can share it to others, because that was one of the biggest things that I noticed that people were struggling with. I was even talking to someone today that, they're like really committed, you see they're really committed, and they kind of share behind closed doors that they were actually eating animal products, you know what I mean? And it was, due to health, due to stress, due to these sort of things, and so even that conversation happened today, and that just re-inspires me, to just make sure that I'm sharing the message to, what people say, oh, you did it wrong, like do it right, like actually get the right vitamins, get the right minerals, into your body, and so that you can actually thrive, so that you never even think about going back, and that's the thing, is people think about it, and some act on it. Most are super guilty for a lot of reasons. Most won't even admit it, right? For obvious reasons between us, but that partly fueled me into that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that reminds me, I won't name drop or anything, but there was a very, very significant vegan food influencer who eventually got nailed eating animal products in a restaurant on video. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
I think I saw that one, yeah.
And that kind of stuff is so detrimental too, because someone who was, spreading a message that people were believing now loses all credit. And that's the opposite of what we're going for. The total opposite. Yeah,
definitely. Absolutely. And it's harder when it's like an influencer, because they influence so many, and we know that the damage that it does, when they make those decisions to eat animal products.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, if we can kind of jump into it, I don't know, I know your story, but I don't actually know, because it's hard sometimes to keep all these terminology jargons, fresh on the top of our head. But you had a spinal, um, condition that was very dampening to the vibrancy of your life. Can you speak a little bit to that, what it was, and then I guess maybe sort of leapfrog into where that led you and where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially at 25, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease at 25, and the disease was called ankylosing spondylitis, which is a really crazy word, but it's kind of operates similar to like rheumatoid arthritis, where it attacks the spine and it feels very similar as that. And so that was the first time that I was actually even sick of anything, really. Like I was the type of person that I felt like I could eat anything. I used to say I had an iron stomach, I could eat whatever I want, nothing mattered. And I didn't have any negative consequences for it too much, you know what I mean? I
That
didn't
you
really get
thought of.
sick that Yeah, I didn't really get sick that often. It was very rare that I got sick. I felt okay. It wasn't like super, super bad. But then after that happened, things did start to, well, I went to the doctor and they basically said that the only option was this drug, prescription drug that was $4,000 a month.
It was a
And
biological, right?
say it again.
It was a biological they wanted to put you on?
I don't know exactly. It's called Humira,
Yeah.
and it's a common one that they have for autoimmune disease. And so that I couldn't afford it, and so I basically suffered for the next 4 years. And so it got worse. The pain got worse, and the pain would be like extreme pain at night. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night like in so much pain as if I threw out my back, as if like someone was stabbing me in the back. It was just like unbearable. It was worse when I was still. And I thought like I did something that I lifted something heavy. I had no idea what was going on, right? And so it actually got worse and things kind of got a little bit worse, in my life later because when you feel so bad like that, you just kind of let other things go. You just don't take care of yourself as well. You're not eating as well. I was drinking alcohol a lot more often, numbing the pain, stuff like that. And I didn't really know what to do. And there was no other alternative. Like they didn't say, oh, you could do this as well. You could try this as well. And also my mindset was the doctors know what they're talking about. The doctors know best, so if there's no alternative, then they know, there's no one's found it. No one's found the answer for this. Right. And so at 29, actually something really dramatic happened to me, the most traumatic thing in my life at the time. My dad actually committed suicide. And I know that you were talking about a little bit that's a really, really tough part in your family, and you can understand. And that woke me up essentially. That was like the pinnacle that I said, you know what? I need to make some changes. Like he was like my role model, and so I saw like I'm following down, some similar footpaths or a similar path as him. I don't want to go to that path. I don't want to get led to that, right? And so I started wanting to make some changes. And so part of the thing that I wanted to change was fix my back. Like that was still like, I got to fix this. Like, how do I fix this? So I went back to the doctor. I had better insurance and I started taking that medication. It was an injection. I had to stab myself into the leg every 2 weeks. And it was horrible and I didn't like it. It hurt. And I didn't want to do it. And I was very reluctant to go. But one thing that drug does is there's many side effects. Like if you look at the side effects of some of these prescription drugs that they have out there, it's wild,
It's like,
right?
yeah, it's a huge
It's
lift.
it's huge, right? But the actual purpose of it was to weaken the immune system. They actually had me take a tuberculosis test before because they said if you had tuberculosis and you take this medication, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's weakens your immune system that much, right? And so because of that, or anyways, I started taking it. I had a little bit of pain relief, because that's really all that it does is kind of lessen the pain. And they also said that you'll be on this for the rest of your life, right? So that was what was I was facing in my mind. That's what I was thinking. And shortly after that, I got like the flu, and it completely destroyed me. I was so sick, like I've never been before. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't work. I couldn't speak. I was like literally nothing would come out of my voice. I couldn't even tell people what was wrong with me. It was like nothing. I in that moment thought like a few thoughts in my mind. I was like, am I gonna die? Like, is this it? And that was part of I thought that. I also thought, am I gonna get my voice back ever? Like it was so gone that I honestly thought like this is never coming back because I had never had a voice. Everyone's probably had issues with their voice in the past, but I've never had it so bad that it was nothing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so within
And
that
that,
time, what?
that sorry, I wanted to jump in and say, like, what does that do to your relationship with your body? Because I've seen stuff like that happen in my family too, right? And I have an idea, but I don't know for you what that meant. But how did that make you feel about your relationship between like you as a being and the body you were in, and how it was treating you and stuff?
I don't even think that crossed my mind, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I don't even think I was in that headspace at that time. It was just more like, how do I not hurt? How do I stop the pain? It was just, that's all I was thinking, you know? It was like, how do I end this pain? Because I also hated being sick so much, like that I wanted to do anything to get better. Like, I to this day, like, being sick is the worst thing in my mind, and I just will do anything to not be sick. And so, within that kind of mode that I was in, I was looking and searching and Googling and trying everything. But someone recommended me to watch the documentary What the Health while I was in this state, right? And that documentary was the first time that I learned that diet and diseases is even related. Before that, I had no idea. I knew that maybe like, smoking might cause cancer, or maybe some foods might potentially cause cancer or something like that. But I didn't know barely anything at all like that. And
We
so,
all we all tend to think it's just genetics. That's it. It's
yeah,
just it's the life lottery. This is what happened, right?
exactly, right? And so after that, after watching that, I decided to give it a shot. I said, let me try. In the documentary, it recommended eliminating animal products was one of the main things that it talked about. And so I decided to give that a shot because I said, I'll do anything included not eating animal products. And I wasn't like, I ate a lot of them back then, but it wasn't like it's too hard, to make that switch because I already said I'll do anything.
Right.
Within a week of doing that, I actually got better. I wasn't sick. I haven't been sick in 4 years since that decision, right? But because of that, and that feeling of feeling better, and that feeling of feeling sick, not feeling sick, I was so intrigued. I was so fascinated with this whole lifestyle, with everything about it, and then I started learning, right? And then one of the things that I learned quickly after that was like what happens inside, right? Then I was open to understand what happens inside animal agriculture. So then I watched Earthlings shortly after that. And that documentary explains what happens on the inside of the dairy farms, eggs, meat industries, pigs, the leather industry, the entertainment, animal testing. It just like covered all the ways that humans exploit animals. And that was the most devastating thing I've ever seen in my life, right? So I quickly learned that eating animals is unnecessary and cruel. And as a kind, caring, compassionate person, I could never bring myself to do anything that was unnecessary and cruel. So that's how it all started. That was like the beginning. It was like that's how it started, and that's when I learned like really to go vegan and made the decision. Then was like, okay, I'm never gonna eat animals again. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, I'll starve myself if I have to, because it's worth it.
Yeah, and I mean that documentary is so powerful. Like I've always been a hockey player, so for anybody out there who knows who George Laraque is, he was a known enforcer in the NHL. He was a fighter. He was a big, big, muscly dude. And I distinctly remember an article that he was featured in where he said he watched Earthlings and cried like a little baby and switched to vegan that night. And it's, that documentary is so powerful for anyone who hasn't watched it, who, has said that they'd like to commit to or believe in the idea of trying to be more vegan. I highly recommend it. It is life changing.
Yeah, I think it's important to know like what you're paying for and what you're funding. Like there's this big disconnect of like, okay, there's the animal over there. There's the steak right here, but what about all in between? Like, why is that not shown? And then you realize why it's not shown. And if it was shown, right? The old, like, I think it was Paul McCartney or something said, like, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, I think he says we'll all be vegetarian, but we'd all be vegan if the slaughterhouse had glass walls. Because when you realize that the cows are also going to that same slaughterhouse from the dairy industry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that journey then, where did this, along this road, did you discover Purium? How did that fall into your life, and what did that lend to, or where did that take you?
Yeah, so what happened is about, I would say 6 months, the first 6 months was just learning, trying to figure it out, trying to learn how to cook, trying to learn how to, get the foods that I want, and just continuously learning information. I actually deleted all my social media in the beginning because it was kind of just frustrating and distracting. And, I'm sharing some stuff with people I was like, I'm not about this, like about all this confrontation, all this negativity. And so I think about 6 months in, I decided, okay, you know what? I learned enough. I lost like 50 pounds. My skin was so much clearer. I was thinking better, more energy. I was like, there's a lot of benefits here. Like this is really crazy, right? And I said, I have to start sharing. Like I need to start sharing to people. I think that this could really help them. I knew a lot of people in my life that, needed this and needed to make a change and needed to, help themselves, right? So I started with like sharing a lot on Instagram. I think was first, and then I started sharing a lot on YouTube. And I kind of like lost ideas on what to share on YouTube. I kind of was like, what else do I share? But then I started my podcast, and that opened up a whole lot more content, right? And I was interviewing people. I was learning from a bunch of different people. And within the podcast, I was able to interview someone that had reversed their autoimmune disease. Because I still, even though I had a lot of benefits, like I still had, pain in my back, and I still had issues. It was better,
gone.
but it wasn't gone, right? So I met someone in person. I interviewed them, and it was the first person I met that was actually reversed their autoimmune disease. And so I was really, really fascinated by that. And they shared a bunch of information about raw fruit, a lot of raw. They shared a lot of information about this book called Medical Medium. And so all the different protocols within Medical Medium. And I read the book, and then I started implementing some of the stuff that she recommended. I ordered all this stuff like spirulina and ashwagandha and reishi mushrooms, and I was doing celery juicing, and I bought a juicer, and I was doing all this stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna heal. But I actually gave that up within a week. And the reason why is it's not because I didn't believe in it. It was because it was so hard. It was so time consuming, and it didn't taste good. Like celery juice doesn't taste good. Right? I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone says. It is not a good taste. Like I'll drink it. Like I'll drink it now, and I have no problem. But I don't think it tastes good. But I can understand the benefits, and I'll put it down because I know it's good. And so it wasn't until I met someone else on my podcast, right, that actually was an interesting time, because like there was this time, and I don't know when it was, a few years ago, where like within the vegan news, or so to speak, they were talking about some couples or a few families that had some vegan kids, and they had some health complications, where the vegan kid died or something like that, right? And when you looked at what they were eating, it was so stupid. It was like, why would you feed a kid that ever? It was like potato milk or something stupid, like a bunch of different stupid stuff. And I was like, has nothing to do with veganism. That's just horrible parenting. Right? It's just really bad parenting. So I wanted to bring someone in on the podcast to share about parenting, right? And so I brought on Allison, right? She has 2 vegan kids. And so that was, I met her before that, but that's who I brought on. So she shared the link to what she was doing, right? With the superfoods. And the link was soil health and gut health. And I'd already been learning a lot about gut health, but I didn't know what to do about it. I was like, I hear it's an issue. And I was like, I see these people how to test their gut health, right? But I was like, what is the actual, I've never saw a solution for it. So she had the solution for gut health, right? And I was like, that's amazing, right? And then the solution for soil health, which I didn't really know was a problem, right? And that made a huge difference. So then I decided to try that. And the biggest difference between the superfoods and everything that I share now and everything that I take now is that it was so simple and so convenient and so easy and so tasty, right? Especially compared to every single other health foods that I had before. There was just nothing like this. On top of that, it has regenerated soil, right? On top of that, 98 to 99% of the living enzymes, it's like living food, right? And when I compare that to like an apple or something that you have a typical apple at the supermarket, that might have like 40 to 30% or of the nutrition value by the time that you start to eat it. And so it wasn't really you're eating this food, but you're just pooping it out and you're getting nutrient depleted. And I was realizing that this is what's happening. This is happening to a lot of the vegans as well. A lot of the vegans I've seen, every single vegan influencer that I've ever seen that says I'm no longer vegan, which I don't even know what that means, because once you are, you either are, you aren't. Like it's
I
not
gave up what I believe.
You can't change that. It's like either you're against animal abuse or you're not against animal abuse, right? But the ones that say that they're no longer vegan, every single time it was gut health issues, gut related issues, every single time. So for me, when I was able to fix my gut, I have not had any symptoms of the autoimmune disease, right? Which is amazing. But I still have lingering damage because it took me so long to figure it out, right? And over time, if untreated, it can fuse together, your spine fuse together. And I think that's a little bit what I'm experiencing, right? So I'm recovering from the damage, but I don't have the pain symptoms anymore, which is great.
That's
and
huge.
so when I think about, for people, like most people get diagnosed, let's say you have cancer and you're diagnosed with cancer. The moment that you have cancer, for example, like it didn't just start right then. It has been developed over many, many, many years, right? You could have been developing it since you were 15, 13, 10, right? And it just finally is so many cancer cells that it's actually, probably it's life-threatening, right? Same with an autoimmune disease. This is developed. So for me, it would be so much better if I was able to start something like this, like before I got sick, you know what I mean? Way back then, to maintain the longevity would be ideal. So that's what I want for people, is to be able to prevent some of these diseases, from them. I was even in a comment thread today, I think it was Direct Action Everywhere. They posted, I shared it. They posted about a little bit about the vaccine and where some of the animal products are coming from into the vaccine. And there was this person that I know. I'm not going to mention any names, but she's a great activist. She's an amazing activist, and she does so much for the animals. And I was with her when we went to the slaughterhouse. She had herself locked up to the doors of the slaughterhouse. She's really, really courageous. But she said that she feels like she needs to take it because she's immune compromised and she has a chronic disease that she can't heal. And in my mind, she's like, I tried everything, but did you try this? Did you try this? I don't think you tried this, and I reached out to her, but sometimes people that are like that, they think they tried everything, but most diseases are stemming from gut health, that's the root cause, right? And so if you can fix that, you have a great shot at fixing a lot of the issues. And even an autoimmune disease, most people that have an autoimmune disease, they develop one 5 years later on average if they don't change anything.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard the saying, and it's not as common now as it used to be, but it goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Right. And it's so true. You think about whether it's something as simple as you're carrying hot soup and you just pay more attention when you're carrying it because it's easier to pay attention than it is to unburn your skin and clean up soup from the floor. But for some reason people are hardwired into thinking I'll deal with it once it's a problem, and it's heartbreaking when you've watched people you care about go through it and know, or even yourself, right? And there are other solutions other than trying to fix the problem before it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely. I think most will I think every time someone is sick, whatever they're sick, and then when they know they're sick, it's obvious to them, that's when they want to make all these changes. Oh, I need to add this. Oh, I need to, take some over-the-counter medication. Oh, I need to try some soup. Oh, I need some tea. Oh, I need these things or whatever, right? And it's my mindset now is if I got sick, I wouldn't change a single thing. Like absolutely nothing. In my mind, I'm doing everything I can on a daily basis to make sure that I don't get sick because I hate being sick so much, right? So if I did, like I really wouldn't change anything. And I think that's the mindset that we need to have. We should be eating to build our immune system. We should be eating to thrive, not eating to survive. And I think that that's what's been so placed in us, even every single celebration that I see, like a birthday party, celebration is why is the celebration, whether a holiday, why is the celebration, why do you have to harm yourself for the celebration? Why do you have to put so much harm in your body, whether it's alcohol, candy, junk food, and that's what we're taught. So we're taught, you do a great job and now you're going to put some poison in your body. And it's just so backwards thinking. From where I'm at now, and I think from where you're at, I think that's the ideal that we need to get to. But if you're watching the news, if you're watching the media, you're listening, to your doctors and all this sort of stuff, like you're gonna be wrapped up in that mindset, and it's really hard to change. And most people, especially like guys, like us, we're so stubborn and hard headed sometimes, that we have to have something so dramatic happen to us before we decide to change. And I, part of me wishes I didn't have to go through something so dramatic. The other part is like that was a gift, because if that didn't happen, like I'd be on a path for an early death.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, it's so much bigger than us, right? In the sense of like, obviously, what you went through is very important to you and is very real, but it was a gift as well in the sense that, instead of you going through a life where you just wanted to help animals, you now want to help people and help animals. And it's just such a bigger, wider, more encompassing mission, right?
But the problem with that as well is that even like we are animals, so what I don't understand is when someone says, I'm vegan for the animals, totally fine, great, I am as well. But humans are animals. So why would you not care about humans, and their suffering as well? Because it's totally connected. Also, the solution to the problem with what's going on with animals is humans.
Yeah.
Animals aren't going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
Right? We are the only ones that can solve this problem.
They need to stop voluntarily, giving their bodies over to us.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so also from ourselves, like if you're not caring about yourself, like almost that's not even vegan, because you're hurting yourself. Why are you hurting yourself over and over and over when you know that you don't have to? And some of it is unknowing. Some people they're doing it without knowing, right? They're not educated, right? Like I think I'm doing what's right. I think what I'm doing what's right for my body. So some don't know, right? But for those that know, like I think that it's really, really tough. I think there's definitely a big place, right? There's a huge place for like some of the transition foods, some of the junk foods, and the vegan junk foods. There's a good place, for the transitioning, for sure, right? But it's a transition food. You shouldn't stay there, right?
Or
you
a
can't
treat,
stay there forever.
like
Or a treat, yeah.
I'm a big fan of like cashew ice cream, oat ice cream, and I'll have it once in a blue moon because it's yummy, right? But you have to recognize what it is, and you have to, this is in some small way, this is kind of a punishment to my internal system when I consume it. And so I have to be aware, like we want to have pleasure, we want to enjoy, but it has to be really done in moderation. In the summertime, every once in a blue moon, I'll throw a Beyond Burger on the grill, sure, right? But am I having it every night thinking that that's my healthy option? Definitely not.
But that's what's happening, right? It's like that. It's those foods, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, every single day, right? And then it's like before I say like I was eating, like let's say, I don't know, 90% of it was bad, in the past, right? And then 10% was like okay. But now I feel like 70 to 80% is amazing, like super high quality, and like maybe 20% is okay, and like 10% is bad. And what happens is I'm essentially detoxing more than I'm retoxing, right? And
Right.
I think that's the balance, right? That we need to have is that because we're always getting toxins in our body, always, always, always breathing in the air, right? We're just,
The
all
water
the
table.
pollution, the
Yeah.
water, right? It's all over the place, right? And so yeah, it's just a balance of detoxing and retoxing.
Amazing. Amazing. So much knowledge and such a great story all packed into one. And so you now live what we would call an alkaline lifestyle, right? You consume a load of greens. You're taking a load.
Even my water's alkaline too.
Amazing. And that's important, right? That's critical. I mean, even most cities in North America do alkalinize the tap water. I mean, they put a bunch of other toxins in it, but even when they're ladening it with toxins, they still know we should have this be alkaline. And I mean, it's close to the neutral zone, right? But it's usually just over 7. So yeah, being alkaline is so powerful because we're not acidic beings, right? We are not apex, predator carnivores. We are not. And most apex predator carnivores don't necessarily have a long life cycle because of the lifestyle that they are born and living into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the longest living animals on the planet, eat plants, and the ones that die the earliest are the ones that they eat meat. The lions, they don't live very long. Tigers, yeah, a very short lifespan, definitely compared to the animals that they're eating.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a tortoise. I mean, poor tortoises only get to live 2 to 300 years, or some 4. Like an Aldabra tortoise will live like 450 years on average. Poor guys, such a short life cycle, missing all their protein.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh man, well, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you'd want to summarize with this? I mean, I think we've obviously covered the fact that people, if they want to take their life into their hands, they need to act sooner than later. I think we've definitely addressed that. But if there's anything else maybe that you want to summarize with, just to leave people to sort of gestate on.
Yeah, I would say, reach out to you, reach out to me if you have any additional questions on this. And I would say all the superfoods that you see, all of our pages and that we're sharing, is absolutely life changing, and you have zero risk. Like I've never seen a company that says, oh yeah, you can buy this food, right, and you can have it and consume it and then get a 60-day money back guaranteed. So you have zero risk. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I mean, you have the opportunity to get your health back, to get your life back. It's simple, easy, convenient, tasty. It's from Whole Foods. No binders, fillers, artificial colors, any artificial flavors, nothing artificial at all. No binders, none of that. Pesticides, all organic. And so it's as clean as it possibly gets, tested 27 times for purity. And you gain so much more than that. People like you, a like-minded community, people like some of the people that are watching, and it's really like you have everything to gain and nothing to lose.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put, Terry. If anybody out there does follow already, your handle on Instagram is Kevin_Luna, correct?
_Luna, but they can probably see it here.
Yeah, I have trouble when they blend them together.
I
They should
know.
have a little
I know.
separation in between them, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Too many Kevin Lunas.
Kevin_Luna, for nutritional information, this guy is a powerhouse, and he's not pulling it out of a hat like a magic act. He is trained and certified in vegan nutrition. So if you're looking to cut back on the bad stuff and looking to amp up on the good stuff, he's a good brain to pick. And then, yeah, if you're looking for sourcing on some of the cleanest, healthiest, most beautiful food on the planet that's paired with an impeccable, unparalleled community, then reach out to either one of us, because nothing makes us happier than to see people get on the right path and to know that we're not going to watch another family go through things that they do not need to go through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much for coming on, man. I know you got a busy night. We both do. We got other stuff to run to, but I really appreciate you coming on. I know anybody listening probably does too. We got some comments here, talking about the great points you're making, and yeah, thank you so much, my brother.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care, bro.
Have a good night.